All right, welcome everyone. I'm here with our resident running very hot, back to back to back top eight finishes, including the latest showcase challenge, Curran. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing it correctly.
You are pronouncing it correctly, my
Thank
good
goodness.
man.
So welcome, and if you're not on a heater, I don't know what is. To be honest, three top eights in a row. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I am still trying to swallow the information myself still. It's crazy.
I mean, it's definitely a very nice run. So for those who don't know, he top eighted both legacy challenges the previous week, and then played the Sunday Showcase Challenge, and started 0-1 and ran off seven in a row before being scooped into the top eight, which is phenomenal to see. Even better, doing me a solid, top 80 with my exact literal 75 that I posted literally the night before.
Yeah, that is the one I decided to go with. I made the changes like 15 minutes before the event when I woke up that morning, and I just ran with it.
Nice, nice. Okay, so when you're ready, okay, you are sharing your screen. Let me pop that out here. All right, here is the Kieran screen. Should we share the list first before we start, just to touch a base? And also, I do have a canker source, so I will let Curran do most of the talking tonight. I'll try not to interject too much.
Looks like we got rated too.
Awesome, thank you, Jarvis, Jarv Dog, for the raid. Uh, I'm here with Kern, and we just started. For those of you who are curious, and Kern here, has hit back to back to back top eights now from the two legacy showcase, legacy challenges a week ago, and then top four in yesterday's legacy showcase challenge. So here is his or my list that he ran, and he will do most of the talking tonight because I have a canker sore. But thank you, Jar Dog, for the raid as always. And yeah, you want to talk a little about the list and what you felt were overperformed and underperformed.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to do a little talking on the list. So this is the 75 that well, the 60 has not changed much over time for the past month or so, I would say, except for the inclusion of Wasteland over what we were running as Caracas. Wasteland I found to be a pretty interesting card in certain situations. It definitely helped out a few times, other times it was kind of minimal. I'm not really sure if I like Caracas or Wasteland more yet. I may find myself alternating between the two for a little while just because there were some times where I missed Caracas. So um, yeah, that one I'm not sure if I will be keeping on the team. But aside from that, I really am in love with the rest of the main deck. The silver bullets we have in Collector Rufy Opposition Agent, Endurance, and Grist. The Elvish Spirit Guides are just randomly modal. Like sometimes you'll be able to play around days, other times you'll be able to power out a spell a little faster than you wanted to. And sometimes it can just lead to a secret tapped out crop rotation for a bog against a graveyard deck. It is so cool that we're including a couple of this card. But other than that, yeah, we got dogs, reclaimers, symbiotes, shepherds, couple visionaries, fiend artisan, the best card in the deck by a million miles. You know, Still got the natural order hoof, and then a little bit about the sideboard. A lot of it's remained unchanged for a while. Like the left side here has kind of remained the same, somewhat consistent over the past month. We tested Noxious Survival as a 2 of this time in order to kind of combat Doomsday and Reanimator simultaneously. And Noxious Survival will come up a couple times probably during this review. Veil of Summer, we wanted something for fair control slash a sixth card to bring in against
I think the only thing I would add is I would concur with Veil of Summer just being really bad. I'm cutting the card for sure. The rest of it was fine, but I'm experiment some more. Definitely Veil of Summer is not a real card.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so let's hop into round one of the showcase. Okay, so this is the seven that we see. It's a pretty easy keep, I think.
Yeah, I think it's an easy keep. I agree.
Fetch before the Once Upon a Time, since we have enough lands. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. I think I grabbed the Reclaimer here to not give any information on my turn one play and just played the Reclaimer, if I recall correctly. Would you have taken the Shepherd because we already had the Reclaimer, or would you have also taken second Reclaimer?
I think I would take the Reclaimer. It's the strongest card.
Agreed.
Also, you're the first person to call Fiend Artisan the strongest creature in the deck. I don't even know if I would say that. I think it's second behind Reclaimer, but I definitely think an untapped Artisan is probably just game over.
Right. That's exactly why I value it as a really strong card. Is just because, yeah, you get it online and then you go find the piece that tortures your opponent and hope you win. Anyways,
Torture is a great word. I love it.
we're on against Ignoble Hierarch here, so it just feels like a good time to expand the board a little bit.
Yeah, I think I would make the same play. I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna play around Wasteland against that start.
Nah, they usually want their mana, I find, so I'm not really scared of Wasteland against them. Anyway, we come to find out that they're food chain, and they get the good old Fury pitch
Ugh.
into sack for 6 mana, kill out my good guys, into Snoop, into Sling Yang. So things are already looking bad, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You definitely don't want your opponent to ramp six out of nowhere, right?
Sorry about that. Okay, so we fetched up here, threw out an Oofy, played the Fiend Artisan.
Thank you for the follow, Jeffrey. So I know I missed a few followers right now, but I'm trying to be as polite as possible to my good friend here, Curran, as my guest.
Sorry, y'all. Totally distracting our good host Newton here.
Okay, so people are having trouble hearing you. I'm trying to see if there's a way I can increase that. I just like.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Testing my voice. Anyway, I grabbed up a grist here off the Fiend Artisan, just to tick up and try to create more board presence to try to get to Crater Hoof via Fiend Artisan. Like, I think I also plan on end of turn fetching up another Dryad Arbor. Um, but they get the Harbinger here off the Snoop and do the Kiki Jiki thing, which means the last, and they already have the Sling Gang on table, so it's just over.
Okay,
So
I have an idea to increase. I'll put you on headphones. That might help.
Okay. Yeah, I think in our last review video, I was coming out of your computer speakers or something.
Is this better? Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Test.
I think that fixes it.
All right. Cool. Sorry about that, folks. So anyway, yeah, we died to the Bogart Harbinger, put Kiki on top, conspicuous Snoop Sling Gang combo in game one.
It's funny because it's almost like they're the new Nettle version, right? Like the goblins are more combo than we are now.
It's weird. We've switched roles entirely. Like now we're the grindy tribal deck.
Right, that's trying to like lock people out.
So I keep this hand in game too because it's got snuff out. It's got a decent amount of stuff going on. It's got a once upon a time. So we just start by fetching up forest, and then I think we look at this and we end up taking a fetch land here, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have done the same, or would you have gone in on reclaimer? We already have one,
I
so
mean,
I
and
figure,
we need a land, right?
yeah, I agree, and I decide to do so. So here I'm just holding up Cradle because I don't mind making my Reclaimer a 3/4 at this point, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's always good, right? Getting a cradle.
Draw the Progenitus, big sad, oh well.
Story of our life, right?
Yeah, and at this point we're holding up Snuff Out, we're holding up Fetch for other Arbor to just dry Natural Order for kill next turn, and we're also Wasteland proof basically. Or like Wasteland ready, anyway. Anyway, so they grab Matron for an Ignoble Hierarch. They cast the Ignoble Hierarch. They pass, which means we win. I just snuff out their new Ignoble Hierarch just for funsies before I get rid of the Bayou. Turn it into a Dryad Arbor. Bing, bang, boom. Go get the hoof, and we're in there.
Nice.
So that's the end of game 2.
Speaking of snuff out, I wanted your take on the card. I think that's a fantastic card, and kind of have the itch to try 3 copies. Is that crazy? You think?
3 copies, huh? I don't
Oh,
know if that's super crazy. I mean, the card is pretty good. I just wouldn't want to. I don't know. Like seeing all 3 copies in a game indicates maybe we're paying like 12 life, and I don't know if I love that. But I know it's also kind of easily hard castable. So
I don't think we'll ever see 3 copies in a game. I do think we would see 2 from time to time. It's just can we live with eating 8 life every once in a while, or 4 life plus hard casting it, right?
right. Yeah. I mean, I think it might be worth testing at the very least.
It's
Like
just
every idea.
the only reason is because when it's good, it's obscene.
It's true.
uh
So I guess we're going on the Reclaimer aggro plan. They actually end up mulling to 4 here.
hmm
Uh, now we know the outcome of this round,
Unfortunately.
but the funny thing is, this is gonna look like really good first because I actually end up ripping the Wasteland, and I'm like, well, they have 3
Ooh.
cards in hand, so I think I should waste them.
Yeah, I don't fault you for that. I mean, it seems decent. Like, especially since there's no way in hell they're playing around that.
Now they have 2 cards left in hand, but they had the other land into the Ignoble, so good on them. So we'll just develop our Reclaimer here,
hmm
and they do nothing, and we play another Reclaimer, and we fetch, and we play another Reclaimer, and we swing for 3. Like, this looks great, you know? Like, I'm thinking, okay, I'll just cast Grist here, I'll +1 to get more bodies on the table, and I'll swing for 9.
Oh, okay. See, I think that's where I would have done something different. I think I would have got Cradle because you can hard cast Hoof next turn.
I thought, well, mathematically, I can hard cast Hoof next turn too, because all I need to do is hit +1, play Cradle, and then tap out for Hoof.
Oh, fair. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I was just thinking the. Yeah, that's fair. Go. That's fine. Okay, this is where things get dicey, I guess.
So Food Chain goes, lets him play into Conspicuous Snoop,
Uh huh.
and now they've played land. Now they have 1 card left in hand, and guess what it is?
It's got to be a Harbinger. Oh, jeez.
No, it's gonna be a Muxus. Now, Lightning Crafter was in their top 6 there because we saw that off Conspicuous Snoop.
Uh huh.
They only hit the Lightning Crafter, but since it champions,
Right, you can get another Muxus trigger. Oh god.
and now you've just hit another Muxus off the Matron, whatever you want off the Harbinger, and Goblin Ringleader just drew them, I don't know, some other cards or something. Oh, they haven't hit the Ringleader yet. So they get the Muxus, they put something on top, Kiki Jiki. They Ringleader out the Harbinger and the Kiki Jiki.
Sadly, I've died to this myself before as well. So I know all about this. Yeah, once they get going, it's kind of hard to stop. Right? It's kind of like they're the Neo Sentinel build.
Yeah, so the funny part was like they're like, I hate this game. And I was like, I feel you, and then I'm like, this is insane. Guess you can hate this game less now. Uh,
Some friendly
but
banter.
there was there was a little part after, and I don't know why it's not popping up, where they said, no, this is still stupid. And I was like, well, good luck in the next rounds, like, and they ended up like taking 2 losses and then dropping after this, making my breakers the worst thing ever.
Isn't that how it always is?
So that was the end of round 1.
Yeah, I don't think that we could have done anything differently there. I mean, we just sometimes that happens.
All right, on to round 2 versus lands. And this is what we end up keeping, I think. Yep.
Also, I think you need a new choice of art for natural order.
What are you talking about? This is awesome.
My good friend Jonathan Zhang would like to have some words with you
What? Why?
regarding the natural order art choice. That's a good top deck, or at
Yeah.
least
So
okay.
it's definitely fine. We're just ready to go get Cradle here.
Mhm. Just imagine if that reclaimer were a certain other card, right?
Nell Sentinel.
This hand would be so much worse.
So they get the P fire off on the Reclaimer in response. We still grab Cradle, draw an Arbor, and I think this turn we're just like cantripping a little bit. Oh, we also have the Endurance, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, the endurance is definitely a sweet draw there. Yeah, and then we're not playing around Wasteland here. If they have it, they have it. Did you end up boarding in Noxious Revival in this matchup?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'd be curious because there is some debate whether it's worth it or not.
All right, this is where things get kind of hairy.
The funny thing is, I've actually had Tabernacle backfire on my lands opponents more often than not these days.
Tabernacle doesn't scare me as much as it used to. It's
No, no, no.
annoying, don't get me wrong, but like, yeah, I don't know.
I think I would have played the Visionary there for what it's worth. In case we can, because I'm trying to dig into natural order, right? Or crop.
We have natural order.
So we have a comment here. Sack Reclaimer to kill a Hierarch post combat. How would you do that, Microgram? I don't remember the exact board state. Oh, Gris. The thing is, Yeah, we could have done that to weaken their mana.
So we did find Cradle finally. We're holding it here just to play around Wasteland, which success. So at this point, I respond with an Endurance.
Nice. I probably pitched the natural order for what's worth.
Instead of the Shepherd.
Yeah, and the reason being is we don't need two natural orders.
You never know.
I mean, unless they're packing discard suddenly, right?
So this puts them to like 3 or something.
I love the non-lethal hoofs. That is virtually lethal, if that makes sense.
Yep, and they scoop.
All right, as you start the second game, I will quickly get a beer.
I should grab one too.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right. Anybody who wants to join in cheersing Curran for his triple back-to-back-to-back top 8? Here's my beer. This is a Taiwan beer.
Nice, I got a cider here.
And no, I am not Taiwanese.
All right, I'm ready for cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, let's get started. So,
I was just gonna say, of all the matchups, I think this is the matchup that has gone the most, has improved the most over the last year.
lands?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really has come a long way. So I end up shipping this hand because I don't like having the hoof here. I also don't love having 1 mana versus lands.
Yeah, you kind of
Uh,
want 3 lands when you have an artisan in hand too.
yeah. So we end up keeping this, putting Bog back.
Makes sense. It's funny. This is the one match where drawing 5 lands opening hand not the worst thing. I found lands opponents will panic too, right? If you just don't do anything for a few turns, and because they know Progenitus is looming.
I skipped that once upon a time there, but it was like mostly creatures, and I decided to take endurance because I think these were among them as like duplicates.
Yeah. And not to mention the endurance gets value out of that once upon a time, the second one, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the actual best creature in the deck right there. The answer.
Yeah, so I end up doing this just because I want to get rid of the Punishing Fire with the onboard Grove, and they have 3 cards in hand, so not a lot else probably going to happen here. Saga is pretty good, but if I recall correctly, I think I end up ripping a green source here and just sending Beseju at it
Mm-hmm.
before it becomes any kind of actual problem.
Mm-hmm.
They get a crop row out of it, and they end up getting another Saga, so it was all for naught.
At least you got a crop out of their hand. It's not the end of the world.
Thankfully, they didn't waste me off the Bayou here, so I was able to get this Fiend Artisan resolved.
Yeah, that seems like a major punt from an opponent. I've seen players not wasteland the elf player when they're trying to save wasteland for cradle, but I think if you smell blood in the water, you activate it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that was a pretty blood in the water moment. I only had a few cards in hand, nothing on table.
Mm-hmm. What is the name of the
Anyway,
needle?
they named Artisan.
Fair.
They decided to waste me there at that point, but it's just like, okay,
Yeah,
all
should have
right.
done a turn earlier.
Things get pretty unmanageable though at this point,
Yeah, these constructs are
sadly.
annoying.
And I end up scooping here.
Mm.
But on to game 3.
It's nothing like beer to water down this canker sore that I have, right?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. I wanted to go back and look at that 7 again just to make sure I wasn't crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So this 7, I remember sitting on this initially for a long time because I was like, there's not a lot of action here going on, but Wasteland and Beseiju could be pretty big players as like defending yourself. And then I objectively remember making the decision at the end to be like, no, I don't want to be reactive
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
game. I want to be proactive.
Yeah, I would probably pull this back too. Like it's had some nice hands, but I mean some nice elements, but I just think it's a little too reactive.
And this hand is way better along the lines of where we want to be on the
R-
play, I think.
Right. I think the number one way to win against lands is Progenitus.
I would agree. And we're set up pretty nicely here, even if they have a removal spell, so.
Mm-hmm.
They needle, I respond with Verdant Catacombs. Gotta stay on top of this shit.
Heads up.
Thankfully, they vomit out a few more artifacts, and it is go time.
Interesting choice there. I guess you want to save the cradle. Is that your logic? I probably would have played the cradle and maybe artisan for another arbor and just have more creatures on board.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to, preserve the cradle in case this Force of Vigor needed to become relevant versus like something maybe not that they would play Ensnaring Bridge, but I'm just like paranoid like that, I guess.
You mean for the hard cast, right?
Yeah, so I can hard cast it reliably without having to worry about a green card. But they send us another natural order, so it's easy.
I love the okay. I'm gonna get natural order and then never mind. I guess I'll just win here.
Yeah. So that's how we beat lands in round 2. And now on to the first of many blue-red Delver matchups.
Nice. Actually, I do want to say that's one of the reasons why I'm glad we're doing this stream because I see a lot of people with statistics that say elves is no longer favored against Delver. Uh, I do not think. Well, for one, statistics actually just mean the average player. For one, first of all, and secondly, I do not believe that's accurate amongst higher level players. And here, Curran will demonstrate that's why that's the case.
Let's go. All right. Um
If you were to characterize the matchup, what would you say the Delver Elves matchup is at the moment in your eyes?
I would say Elves has a like I would say it's 65-35
Whoa,
if you're strong.
wow,
If
that's
you're
even stronger
strong.
than me. I would probably have it anywhere from 55 to 60 for Elves, and
But you have to understand, you have to keep your window and play tight. You cannot misstep. If you misstep, you will like lose so many percentage points
that
in
is
that
true
small
too.
window.
Also, you have to not draw Crater Hoof. That is another important thing that matters.
Now, I am gonna say something about round 4 in advance.
Mhm.
I am very embarrassed by a way I mishandled game 2, and
Uh-huh.
I lost a game I shouldn't have, and we will get there. So, it does show that, even us high-level players, we always have our moments, like, uh-oh.
It's
Anyway,
okay.
this
It shows you're human, right?
yeah. This hand sucks,
I don't see green
by,
mana, yeah.
like, a million miles, so we definitely ship this. Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, much better
significantly
6.
better.
Probably just putting back Symbiote because it's a duplicate. Yep.
Exactly. So full spoiler, Curran actually beats Blue Red 3 times, I think, in this event, right?
Yeah, 3 times I was paired up against Blue Red. Uh, I think there were. Hold on, I did the math looking at the sheet or whatever yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, what was it? Um, in yesterday's showcase, there was 59 Delver players representing 21.69% of the metagame,
Uh-huh.
which is definitely equal to 9%, just like Wizards told us. So anyway, uh, all right. So here's the once upon a time. What do you take?
I think I would probably just take the Shepherd here.
Okay, I can't remember what I did. Nope, I took Dagger Boy. Fed him right into Daze too, but I was kind of surprised by this Daze for my opponent because there's no threat. I would assume Daze is more potent when there's a threat, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
now they
yeah.
just set themselves back a land drop entirely.
It's equivalent to us ramping anyways. That's how I see it, at least.
Yeah. So they pondered, they didn't shuffled, and they are passing again. At which point we throw out another Lanny and then a Wirewood to protect it. But Wirewood gets dazed again, setting themselves yet another land drop.
Yeah, I see. I love it when my opponents do that. I just I think the game's over already, right? Like they haven't done anything. Yeah, for sure. Like the thing is, if you don't deal with the dork, it's the equivalent to us ramping, right? Like, and I don't know. I think because they don't have a threat, dazing there is not great for them. For all of you Delver players out there looking for advice from our side.
Decent. Thanks for the subscription and welcome, buddy. All right. So, yeah, now we're just kind of in a weird space because they've bolted the Llanowar, but again, nothing's happening.
Yeah, without a threat, like this doesn't seem that bad.
I think I end up crop rotating just to tag Bog here and
Hmm.
get ready to cast Fiend Artisan.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I like that line actually. That's solid.
They have the Petty Theft for it, but again, no threat. They take the Bog because I don't have any creatures out, which is totally fine. I end up top decking a land like a boss.
You know what's actually one of the nice things that I've liked ever since we've increased the land count? These, try to cheese us with wasteland strategies no longer really work.
Hold on, y'all. Sorry about that. My thing crashed.
And Moto put on a real clinic. So the only thing you missed, D said, was we watched Curran lose round one, and I think this is round four, right?
We're in round 3 right now.
Okay, round three. So saw him win round two against Lands, and then we discussed very very briefly at the beginning the deck construction, namely that I think Veil Summer. We both think Veil Summer is just not a good card. But I was pretty happy to be honest with Noxious Revival. It won me a match against Reanimator.
All right, let's see if I can fast forward us up to where we were. Okay, there's the land that we grab, and we cast Fiend Artisan. And Fiend Artisan is now back in play, so we'll send it back over. They just did do an EI, and finally find a threat.
I consider that the panic EI. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, here comes a 4/4, and Endurance is on the back foot, ready to go.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't just get grist there. Actually, endurance is probably better so you can protect the grist first.
Right, yeah,
Makes
that
sense.
was my big concern, is just I didn't want him to die in the air.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So Force of Will meets that Green Sun for another Artisan, and they end up double trading their creatures into my one Artisan here, which feels pretty good.
Yeah, I think that we're not losing from that.
Now I'm just holding up Op Agent and playing around Days simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. There it is,
I
my
go to
favorite.
try to tap out for this natural order, and they end up conceding on the spot.
I love it. Yeah, I get questions sometimes about like whether we should cut natural order. Um, we could, but I think we just give away too many free wins.
All right, here's my favorite part about this game too. Let's take a look at our opponent's starting deck count here at 62 when it was 60 in game 1. Anyway, so I end up keeping this hand because we have a couple of lands. We also have Once Upon a Time, we have the Donk. It's going to be fine, probably. I ended up grabbing another land off the Once Upon a Time just to be safe.
I think I would be tempted there to lead with the Boseiju because we have the Snuff Fountain hand,
That's true.
but it's close. I know a lot of times I will just autopilot for sure into the basic, but I think there are some certain situations where it may be correct to just what is it called? It may be correct to fetch value, right? If you have like a snuff out or whatever.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to address something about this play that I addressed. I had a few friends watching me yesterday in a Discord server, and they were asking me this question, like, why didn't you Green Sun for 0 with the last mana? Not only to play around Days, but also I want to make sure that if they decide to cast something like End the Festivities or Rough Tumble, that it's for minimal value. Because and playing out Visionary is totally fine because it replaces itself. And speaking of which, this End the Festivities is pretty minimal because it only hits a donk and something that already replaced itself. But they are just trying to kneecap me on resources.
I think if it were me, I do like that you played around in the facility there because it felt like it was kind of telegraphed. I think if it were me, because I don't ever respect days, I might have just like left 3 mana open and just like end step endurance. But that's me.
That's that's also a good point. But I felt like with multiple visionaries, I wanted to like expend one at least. and also feed it to the graveyard for any fiend artisans that might be headed their way.
Yeah, that's fair.
I definitely see the value of the endurance that, and we get to Green Sun here, and then just waste their steam vents. They reveal days, so that is now known information. How do we do this? Yeah, I end up zenithing for 0 with 1 up.
I like that, especially now that they missed land drops. I feel like we're kind of ahead.
And I actually end up wanting to bait the days here with the symbiote, but they don't take the bait.
If I were to guess, they probably have Murktide in their hand, and they're just hoping to top deck or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's very strange that they didn't take the bait there. Maybe they just want it. Okay, interesting.
Submerge is kind of annoying, but it's like, okay, I guess. And now I end up playing Visionary. I would think this would bait the days, but it doesn't.
I think I would not have played the Arbor before the Visionary, in case you draw a Cradle, right?
Yeah, that was a small sequencing error on my end, I think, looking back on that.
For sure, for sure. I mean, sometimes you also just tunnel vision into like a line. I know I've been there, so like, don't beat yourself up too. The better thing is just to realize it after the fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Now at this point, this is disgusting, right? Because we have endurance that's days proof. We have snuff out too. Like this is very good. Second time an opponent has told me they hate this game so much during this showcase.
I had one reanimator player actually salt at me, because in game one they had Gristlebrand and they unmasked me, and I had just a land, right, and then my very next draw was natural order for lethal, and they just like went off on me.
That's fucking hilarious.
That was
So
game one too, by the way.
you were right about the Murktide. I think that's the reason they never ended up dazing us, because they ended up pitching one to Force of Will on this endurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to snuff out in response just to get rid of their only threat.
Uh huh. I do think your opponent misplayed for what it's worth. I think they really needed to daze that visionary.
Yeah.
Like visionary is almost like expressive iteration, right? From our end.
Okay. But I also have to point out they write 0 brainstorm, 0 ponder, 0 lands, and 13 cards, and I'm just like, I empathize with them, but also you started with 62 cards, which is kind of suspect.
Not to mention they're not dazing at the right time, right? Like they needed to, in my opinion, absolutely daze the visionary.
I think I bait the days here. No, this is force pitch days on this endurance. That's fine. We have an army of creatures. Here they come.
How big is the artisan?
It's a 5/5. And they concede here. Ending the first match versus blue red.
Okay, because I was gonna say you have an artisan activation, but you can also just attack first and then
Yeah,
untap it.
yeah, that was the thing I was thinking about too during the combat, was that I was going to untap artisan and then go get like grist or something,
Makes
but
sense.
they conceded before the fact, so
Yeah, I mean, I know people are thinking this is gonna sound crazy, but it's artisan is almost like, granted, not as good because it's really not a turn two play. Dread Horde is, but it's almost like the green Dread Horde, right? You untap, it's probably game over.
absolutely. But now we're on to round 4, also versus blue red Delver. And I think I end up keeping this.
Inigo's been raving about the fifth dork, by the way, that he's been playing. So I may give that a shot. He wants me to try it again, and I said it's probably good. Like I liked it in the past.
What is the fifth dork being played over?
I think he cut the third wirewood. If I have to look at his list, I don't remember.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was playing 2 wirewood when I looked. Yeah. All right. So once upon a time finds us a bunch of stuff.
Is that a Besage? I would take the landlord here. I think.
I think that's what I end up doing. No, I took the wasteland. I'm crazy.
You're going for the cheese play. I see.
Oh, that's right, because I wasted out I remember trying to figure this out because I was like, what if I play the Wasteland, then Spirit Guide the Reclaimer, and then I'm Daze Proof? And then I'm like, no, I just waste him first, take Daze away as an option entirely, and then ESG this Reclaimer out.
I mean, I think that's solid too. I think that's one of the strengths of ESG, right? Essentially, we become on the play.
Yeah, it's just so wild.
And you're the problem. Oh shit, we're low on lands now suddenly, right? I actually had a match also in my event yesterday. It was round one where my opponent had only one land. They missed land draw, right? And then I top deck a wasteland. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna win this game now. And then boom, fired it off.
That's so good.
And it's impossible for them to play around. You know what I mean? Because it's like a one of.
All right, I didn't take the trade here, but they do have the Murktide, which is troubling. Oh yeah, so I went for this weird play because I thought I smelled like no counterspell whatsoever. So I played Beseiju, main phase's crop rotation, it resolved, I got a cradle off the deal, and then I cast this Fiend Artisan.
Is that to play around days or what?
Uh I I honestly am trying I think I was just trying to get ready to like natural order
Gotcha. Okay,
to
I see. I okay.
it's kind of a weird play.
It is.
Yeah, because I did play around Days the whole time doing that because I tapped the Beseiju. I still have this up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I guess I played around Days because of 3 cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Force of Will requiring to be 2 cards in hand kind of
Mm-hmm.
deal.
Petty theft.
Petty theft, the Fiend
Again, the
Artist.
desperation petty theft on the artisan, right? Like because they don't have removal.
So I fetched up by you to recast Fiend Artisan and hold up Reclaimer for Dryad Arbor basically here.
Nice.
At this point, we're just throwing down the natural. Oh yeah, that's right. We are sacking one of the arbors to tutor up Allosaurus Shepherd,
I love
so the
this line.
natural order can go through. We did have to sack the Fiend Artisan because it was tapped to have lethal,
Uh huh.
but it was still obviously worth it in the end.
That's one of the sickest lines that I like because it's kind of like they have to deal with the artisan up front, right? Like if they don't have the removal spell, they pretty much have to force it because otherwise all your stuff potentially can be uncounterable later on.
Yeah. Um they are like basically forced to deal with it. So this game too, I'm just disclaimer right here. There is a very obvious punt that happens that loses me this entire game. Let's see if we can point it out together as a class. All right. So, this hand though, pretty sick, honestly. I love it.
It's decent. I would have probably one less artisan if I could deal with that. It's a little too many two drops for my blood, but.
Nah, it's all good. I think I'd take Dagger Boy here if I recall correctly.
I would take Dagger Boy too. Yeah. Low key, Visionary, I don't know. It's getting to this point where maybe it's not good enough for Legacy anymore.
For the record, I still like having Visionary Symbiote as a plan. I think it's a decent plan to have when we're low on resources.
It's
It's
definitely
a
a
good
plan
way to
B.
refill, like, and get back into a game that we might be behind on.
Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong. Like I do think an optimal list at the moment plays at least two of each, just cause so you can like find it right if need be, and in case something
It's
happens
not a
to one of them.
4 of necessarily anymore.
No,
That has become apparent.
but it's just a legacy is just so fast now that I think I would play the Reclaimer by the way.
Oh, you wouldn't have feared Days at all?
Nah, they can daze
All
it
right,
for I
fair
care
enough.
because you still have two Fiend artists as backup. But I just think Legacy's so fast. You don't have time to always what is it called? To Visionary Wirewood as your plan A anymore.
I do recall why I didn't replay the Reclaimer yet either. I was just waiting because we did have 3 fetch lands, just making it a free 3/4 if it hits the table.
Fair enough,
So it's like, removal proof.
for sure. Makes sense. Yeah, I
All
lost the
right. Well,
game. Go
that's a glaring misplay too. This is one I actually literally forgot about. Oh wait. No. I also justified this one in my brain. I was like, no. This is what I wanted him to do, so my Fiend Artisan would become a 3/3 and get out of rough tumble range. It was fine. It's all good. It was calculated. It was never not calculated. All right. So Chandler comes in for 3 here. They used Mystic Sanctuary to put Lightning Bolt on top for this iteration. So they could get rid of the Fiend Artisan, of course.
So the interesting thing is, I found iteration to be like not that relevant anymore against us because I feel like the games are just so tempo oriented these days. What do you think?
Uh,
Like I think any game that goes long, we're like super favorite is why.
oh yeah, an iteration is the way they like try to stay in the long game, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not effective enough, I think.
I think it was before Fiend Artisan got it put into the deck, right? Because like they could potentially grind us out. I just think you cannot grind out Fiend Artisan from their side. On average, obviously.
Okay, so this meets Force of Will. Okay, so right there, I was on the right path. Because I was thinking, I'll go get Bojuka Bog right now and bog them out and make sure that like they don't have a Murktide Regent and they have a little puny 1/1, right? But my brain was like, hold on, dog. You can attack first and then untap Reclaimer via Wirewood Symbiote. But, you know, that's not actually the case. Because Dryad Arbor's not an elf.
Oh, I see.
So this is the zone where the punt happens because
You're gonna get
now,
Murktide, huh?
yeah, I'm gonna get Murktide.
Oh man, I can see it. It's
So
like a train wreck.
I literally am throwing a fit in my seat at this point, going, why didn't I just listen to myself? And then I was like, ta-da! Look at this, it doesn't matter anymore. Right?
And then they
Right?
have force plus pitch, right?
Wait a minute. Yeah, it matters. They had it all. And I was just like, great. I threw my entire run away. It's over. I've lost this game that was completely winnable.
Yeah, I honestly think
Had all I done
I
was
honestly
just
think you win
gotten the
that game.
damn bog. Yeah.
I think you win that game.
So I take a lot of sideboarding time to recenter the hell out of myself after that, because that sucks, right? You
Hmm.
just literally threw the entire thing away in that one game. This whole match could be gone. And I recenter and I come back and I look at this hand and I'm like, why did you have to send me a challenging hand? Because there are reasons I want to keep this and there are reasons I want to ship this.
Hmm.
Newton, I'll defer to you. What would you do if you saw this hand in game 3 on the play versus Delver?
This one is tough. Because ESG means we're virtually at 5. I'd probably YOLO it, to be honest.
You would YOLO it and keep?
Actually, that endurance is kind of bad. Is the only thing. So if you keep, you once you hit, and then you're gonna once for a land, and then you. Yeah, I think I would YOLO and keep.
You and I have kindred spirits.
I think I would just YOLO and keep.
Well, we certainly hit the land. And now we're going in deep because now we're
We're
going to
all in
green sun
now.
for 0, play another arbor, and send it back into right into and end the festivities. Right? That's what my brain is thinking at this
Oh my
point.
god.
I'm like, what if they just go volcanic island and the festivities, and they didn't. And
Nice.
now things are gonna be a little bit better here. We're gonna green sun for 1, try to get shepherd. Force meets the green sun. So at this point, we just throw down a visionary.
For sure. We get the shepherd anyways. Nice. Yeah, I think without the ESG decent, I would probably mow.
So we're getting a little bit jacked up here. No problem. It's fine.
That's actually a pretty good draw.
Okay, so if I recall correctly, I was debating at this point, should I endurance pitch the visionary so I can make sure that they don't have Murktide and it's uncounterable thanks to Shepherd. But I think I end up waiting because I'm like, if they have a fetch land, they have to crack it first, and it's more likely that they would have a fetch. And they ended up brainstorming, so I breathed a sigh of relief.
I think if it were me, I might have been greedy and just not play the shepherd and try to go for the draw, and like YOLO it if they have days or not. Cause I think we really need to hit the land drop is the reason.
I can see that.
But it's close, right? Because it's like we're dangerous grounds here.
So now they're bolting one of the arbors, which is also just kind of a bummer.
We need a land here. Thank goodness for the gods.
Yeah, I was very excited to see this card. Throw down a
That
little more draw.
that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we play lots of lands in this deck.
Oh, and now at this point, I'm like, okay, they have 2 volcanic islands. I don't want to pass the turn into this. So now that Visionary has drawn me enough land, I feel that I can safely pitch endurance or pitch it to endurance here. Keep the grist for later follow up and get rid of their yard. and send in for some damage. Why not? Get in the race a little bit.
Huh. What did you pitch to the endurance? The
I
visionary?
pitched Visionary, yeah, after returning it to my hand.
Interesting. I would probably be tempted to wait there because we have the grist to deal with a Murktide if need be.
That was the other argument, but I didn't like that idea as much because if we did have to answer Murktide with Grist, we would have had to give up either a land, the thing protecting our Shepherd, or the Shepherd itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like any of those options. So I was like, I'll Endurance now, preemptively deal with it,
Mm-hmm.
and then follow up with Grist. And now they have Grafdigger's Cage, which is like kind of a bummer, but we have Grist, which is one of the better things to have in this situation. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that we're racing versus DRC turning on at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, we got to roll up and see what we can do. They end up whiffing, so very lucky for us.
Oh, big. Oh,
And now we've
wow.
got the endurance, and now we're just mm, chef's kiss, totally safe, off for the trade. Why not?
Wow, what a rip off the top. That is why
Boom.
we play four endurance.
GG. So I just like come off sweating bullets after that, like, oh, I threw game two away. Like,
What a
that was
monster rip off the
crazy.
top though with the endurance.
Oh my
Love to see
god.
it.
All right, so now round 5, we come up against Dredge.
I'm gonna love hearing this noxious revival action here.
And I'm like, this is Dredge. This is a keep because we have the bog finder and we've got endurance if things go crazy,
You
you
have the
know?
1-2.
All right, so here comes the careful study, which pitches Stinkweed Imp and City of Brass, followed by an LED, and then they just pass a turn.
Mm-hmm.
So our plan here is to just go ahead and reclaim her up, and then Simian Spirit Guide in a Land of War Elves since we have another land now. All right, so Narcomoeba's there. That's not something that I really cared about at this point, so I didn't feel the need to respond at all.
That's true. ESG has been pretty sick so far.
Grief coming down, so knowing that they're going to take the endurance, or I had to weigh this out a little bit because I was like, if I endurance pitch, I'm just losing my entire hand. But then they take endurance, which is one of our best cards at the moment in the matchup, without me getting use out of it. And I don't love that either. And I would be live to top deck more stuff anyway. So I decide to get endurance down while they have a couple dredgers in the yard.
Yeah, I would pitch endurance there too because Reclaimer's up next turn.
Right, exactly. So might as well get the value out of it now.
Thank you, Whiskey God, for the sub. I'm glad everybody's enjoying this showcase so far for us. It's funny how the mighty have fallen, right? In terms of like the matchups. I think the graveyard decks used to be one of the worst matchups for elves, and I think it's now some of the best.
Yeah, it's really attributed to things like main deck bog and main deck endurance, and that's just so sick, honestly.
Obviously, a deck like Dredge is just lines up so poorly against us because they don't even have speed, right? Like they're just weak naturally to all our cards that we want to play anyways, and then they can't really go underneath us.
So Faithless pitches Icarid and Stinkweed Imp here, and they throw down a Cephaloid Coliseum. I'm still waiting for something more explosive before getting the bog, but at this point we grab. Oh, I guess we do grab bog. I
What do
guess we're
they
just
have in
going
the
for
yard?
it and start
Nothing relevant, right? I think we.
Stinkweed, Icarid, and Faithless looting with an LED up.
I think I like the Jason's idea here of wasteland and just like really set them back.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it now, and I kind of wish I pulled up Wasteland instead to just waste this Coliseum.
Well, no,
But
it's also because we can also bog on our turn.
right, that's true. Hmm. Maybe I made an error there.
I think the good thing is you're pretty ahead regardless.
I end up crop rotating and just getting a land, just mega thinning the deck, trying to find a natural order. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's something that'll help win the game
Correct.
eventually.
I just love that our deck is very what's the word I'm looking for? Flood proof now, so to speak. Like we have a lot of mana sinks, so it's not the end of the world if we flood a little bit.
Now, this is where I find out they're playing Otherworldly Gaze. Now I know that this player has registered Slow Dredge with this card in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but I was kind of like taken. I thought they might have just switched to a more traditionalist because they've gone without LED.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw LED, I was like, oh no, this is Turbo Dredge.
Yeah,
So that
I
was
would have made the
completely my
same
fault.
calculation too. So they would have I would have been surprised too.
Yeah, but they did put a Stinkweed Imp in their yard and a Cabal Therapy in the yard, and they left the last card on top, and that is where the breaking point begins, because the last card they left was Breakthrough, and they were able to just dredge, dredge, dredge.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm just thinking at this point, we're gonna need a natural order really, really bad here.
Oof. A cradle would probably do it. Well, maybe
Cradle
not.
would do it too.
It's a lot of zombies.
Yep. So they got ahead and or in that, and that made me really nervous coming up to game 2 and 3, being able to play around endurance and bog like that, but also maybe I was too hasty to grab the first bog. I'm not really sure looking back.
Yeah, I think I would have held. It's also because I own dredge, so I kind of know where their choke points are, and typically you don't care about their dredging. Like as long as you deal with their recursive creatures or bridge, I think you're typically that's when you care. I typically don't care about the dredging.
That was another error I noticed I made too. I should have left Reclaimer up to cycle out Arbor to get rid of the bridges
Mm-hmm.
before this started happening, but it was tapped because I committed to an attack because I was trying to just get my opponent dead before they could draw out, theoretically. But didn't see the otherworldly gaze coming. Totally my fault. Uh,
Everybody loves the comeback story.
yeah, let's head into game 2 and see what that looks like. God, what? Hold on. I just need to go back and look at these because now I remember I mulled a 5 in this game.
Five, that six looked okay, but didn't see the rest of the hand. Maybe it didn't have a
This
land.
was the 7 I sent back
You
because,
no
you
land,
know,
yeah.
yeah. This was the 6
Oh, also no land, yeah.
because, yeah, yeah. And this is the 5.
That's as good a five as you can hope for.
So I think I sent back Cradle and Land because, or like I was gonna send back Wasteland, but then I decided I wanted to send back Land and Cradle because I wanted to keep my options open to possibly waste them,
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
or just maybe even hard cast Endurance as well. Leave that option open.
Mm-hmm. I think I might have just land go there because I can green sun for well I guess in this I guess with that here you can hard cast endurance, so I think it's probably okay. Yeah, I think yeah, I like this play.
All right, so yeah, now at this point they just did a discard turn, so I just end up hard casting an Endurance and just taking away their thing, but try to take away their thing, but they end up
Whoa.
having force pitching Narcomoeba. So
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of not. I didn't see that coming necessarily. But anyway, here comes the Thug Dredge. I think it hits basically nothing, if I recall. Yeah, Grief, Faithless Looting, City of Brass, Careful Study.
That's a friendly miss.
They play a land and they pass, which opens me up to a little wasteland action. Bam! And now it's just kind of time to hold up endurance again in case something happens. And I think I'm just like, I don't want to do it. And then I find the reclaimer. I'm like, thank God, how I can actually attack here because it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Critterhoof is an unfortunate draw,
It
but
always
we're just
is.
gonna hold up the bog, the revival, and the endurance.
Gotta get those beats in.
All right, Stinkweed Imp in the graveyard now. I hold up all the mana in the world
That is.
to play
In-
defense. They dredge and they hit a bunch of dredgers and a Cabal Therapy and a looting.
yeah, I don't think we care.
I decide to endurance here just because I want to get some use out of it and I want to get the clock up a little. And I have so much other graveyard hate at this point.
I think there I might. Well, actually, they have 7 in hand, so yeah, I probably don't try to play around Firestorm if I can.
Oh yeah, and then I crop row. I go cradle, crop row, cradle, tap out,
Nice.
hoof, GG. Okay, game 3.
Oh, this beer is making me need to use the restroom pretty soon.
Understandable.
Probably take a restroom break after this game here.
All right. Well, we peel back a pretty good hand. We got the turn 1 reclaimer and the endurance and the once upon a time. Pull off another reclaimer. The other option was fetch land, but we already have enough lands. Reclaimer meets Force of Will. Totally fine.
Yeah,
Cool
I
with
don't think.
that. Gaze puts Diamond, Gemstone Mine, and Cabal Therapy into yard. Okay, no problem.
So something that I think Curran's run has really showcased so far is um, the flexibility of some of these seemingly otherwise not flexible cards. Things like
Yeah.
crop rotation, ESG have been very flexible, which is nice.
I know they're gonna name endurance here, and they have an otherworldly gaze in the yard at this point, so I'm just kind of like, I guess I'll just pitch cast this endurance,
Mm-hmm.
throwing away the Llanowar elves and get a little use out of it.
Makes sense. They probably need
And
a reclaimer here.
they named endurance anyway.
Huh. That is very odd. Maybe they think oh we had two.
But at this point, I'm like, yeah, reclaimer resolves, and I think this is the part where I'm just like, what if I noxious revival my own endurance? No, I don't do it there. Okay. No ball. No balls. Oh yeah, play out a land, play out a Fiend Artisan, make sure we have 2 mana up. And they're just kind of drawing a million lands over there, which is too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, this is where I Noxious Revival back the Endurance. I'm like, hell yeah. Double protection all the time. I throw out the Dryad Arbor to get a Findhorn Elves. Oh, I was trying to get a Shepherd to like end the game faster and realized I boarded all of them out.
Oh, I see. Okay, I was just gonna say. I think that's a net neutral there. What you just did.
Yeah, that was very net neutral. I was like grabbing the Findhorn Elves out of embarrassment, basically. Hardcast Grief. Okay, no problem. We'll flash an Endurance, get rid of the therapy option for you, and you can take the Finhorn.
Right, which is useless in this case. Yeah, I don't even think I fire out the waste there. I think
Yeah, I'm just holding it to rotate out to grab enough mana to activate Fiend Artisan, I think,
for
here.
sure, for sure. Yep, there we
With
go.
the top deck ESG to do it! ESGOP! ESGOP!
ESG has been really impressive in your run so far, which is good. I'm happy to see. Sometimes
And
that
that
extra
is...
mana just like is worth everything, right? All right, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick.
Alright, sounds good,
I'll be
sounds
right
good.
back. Feel free to start the round though. I don't mind at all. If
I'll
you
just pull up the hand. Alright, so round 6 is Blue-Red Delver. You're so welcome, David. I'm glad to help because, yeah, I was worried about this card too. But it turns out it's really, really good. Yeah, that would be cool if this art came in foil. Sorry, I'm reading back through the chat log because I'm like focusing on what's going on here and trying to dictate my line of thought. I'm seeing a lot of opinions on that, which is cool. It certainly opens my eyes up. It's wild, right? Because like I feel like I'm playing really well, but there's still more that can be done, which makes me think that you can become even more unstoppable.
sorry, I'm back.
Uh, Noxious overall thoughts on Noxious right now. It's okay. It does stuff. I didn't run into any Doomsday where I really wanted to test that card, but you know, I think it's neat. Anyway, this is the game 1 hand I think that we end up keeping, Newt.
In the dark, right? Yeah, I would keep this regardless.
I actually think I knew this was Delver because they beat Yorg earlier in the tournament.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
Jorg surprisingly played Doomsday.
oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that either until like I found out from Inigo actually.
Branching out, branching out.
Actually, he messaged
Uh,
me too. To be fair, like later on. He,
so Once Upon a Time looks at these cards. I think I just end up taking Reclaimer if I recall correctly. Cradle's also a decent take too. What do you think?
I think with this hand, I'd probably just take the Reclaimer to be honest. Yeah.
Kindred Spirits.
And the reasoning is we have 3 lands in hand already. Like I don't want to flood out, right?
Yeah, I mean technically 4 lands. What up?
Yeah, the ESG is another reason, right? Like, as much as I love Cradle, I think this is like one of the few times where I would not get it.
So at this point, we're just getting ready to grab a Cradle to buff up the Reclaimer and, uh, have a Cradle.
Mm-hmm. It feels so good to have a 3/4 reclaimer. It's like one of the best feelings.
This was awesome, by the way. This Wirewood getting Force of Willed was my favorite thing. I was like, that is the thing I care the least about right now.
Yeah, I think the opponent is thinking about like 2016 Wildwood symbiote.
They flipped a Pyroblast to flip the Delver, but they fetched before they drew, so they don't have the Pyroblast in hand.
Makes sense.
Oh my god, so many options right now.
I think you just endurance them right here, right?
Yeah, I pitched the Spirit Guide so I can hold up Cradle,
That makes sense.
and I do get the Endurance here, and I put their cards away, and they have one card left in hand, and I'm just like absurdly ahead here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm just getting ready to grab Dryad Arbor at end of turn if nothing happens
Yep.
to... Oh yeah, this was funny as hell. So they bolt the Fiend Artisan. Check out what they put into the graveyard off these channel triggers.
It's three of a
What?
kind.
I'm just like, okay, yeah, you got it, friend. All right.
I think they
We got...
have to too, right? We have 3/4 Tribor.
I mean, they have one card left in hand, so this is a no-brainer jam.
Yeah. I
Bam,
mean,
bam,
it could
bam.
be force of negation, but we're still jamming regardless.
Yeah, I don't think blue red's likely to run one main deck Force of Negation right now. I don't think any lists do that, do they?
I don't think so, but
I
it's
thought
like
Brazen Borrower was all I ever see in the 3-drop section from them.
it's it's not stock, but it's like not out of the realm, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it was just like a meta call or something
Right,
that
right,
could
right.
happen.
I don't think they have it, but it's just like it wouldn't surprise me, I guess.
Yeah.
Love 3/4 tribal.
So we are on to game 2 here, and we keep a pretty good hand because it's good.
Yeah,
Like, it's got stuff.
ESG is gonna be very good yet again. Just like to break parity almost.
I think I want to say I probably take a Reclaimer here.
I would take Reclaimer here too.
Reclaimer gets through a-okay.
I would probably spend my ESG to ramp there too. By the way,
Oh, yeah, gotcha. I guess I may have been pretty conservative with that.
to me, like getting tempo is just so important in this matchup.
Well, there we go. We got the tempo back.
Better late
Yes.
than never. Because I think if you had done that, you would be able to visionary this turn. Like, because there's a cascading effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I think this bolt goes at Shepherd, unsurprisingly. Get Fiend Artisan, Force of Will,
Yeah, they have no
which I
choice.
think ends up leading me into playing another Cradle and Green Sunning while the shields are down.
I like that. Probably get a endurance. Yep.
Send back for 3, or send back for 1, I guess. Just trying to mad thin the deck here and get our guy to a 3-4. Draw another land, no problem. Just get in there, no worries.
I love how endurance is holding the whole team back on the other side.
Ah, yes, Ledger Shredder. Welcome to the team. Also, crop rotation, not a very good draw.
Not at all, right here. Did we use the bog already? No, right?
Nah, Bog's still waiting to be used.
I guess it doesn't matter here because they can like kind of overpower bog, but because they have Shredder and DRC. Oh, I
Oh,
love it.
yeah. Here it is. We go for the crop row. They have the force, though. Triggering both their guys.
I guess they don't want Murktide because there's just too many threats, no defense. Maybe that's their logic.
Big sad here that Craterhoof's not in anymore, by the way. But that's... Well, I don't think we couldn't have gotten Craterhoof anyway. But it's a little tough here because it's like... We have to deal with this. We have to possibly get a flyer off the table entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you grab here with the Zenith?
Yeah, I think I get Shepard as Jason and play offense.
That might have been better. Yeah, kind of wish I did that. Anyway, I start off by activating Reclaimer and getting Endurance submerged in response. And I bog them out to take care of the Channeler.
Mm-hmm.
And then I resolve the Green Sun Zenith for 2, getting a Fiend Artisan, because I figured that maybe I could solve all my problems by using Fiend Artisan over multiple turns.
Mm-hmm. It's not the worst idea. I do think we have to deal with the Shredder soon. Right? We have no defense.
He ends being able to turn on DRC here, and they can just now swing for 9 in the air, and they ended up having another Submerge for the Fiend Artisan.
Submerge low key kind of obnoxious against us.
Yeah, they put us to 6, we draw a Fiend Artisan, and there's nothing we can do to win this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I probably get the Shepherd, and then it's a racing situation. It Submerge against us kind of reminds me of when we get to snuff out like Night of the Red Card. It's just that feels like cheating.
Yeah, it's really tough. And it's so good against us because it punishes us by just like with our shuffle effects everywhere. Okay, so welcome to game 3. We have a couple donks. We have a Once Upon a Time. I think this is the game where I tried to make the joke of our favorite play in Magic, which is play Once Upon a Time, hold priority, try to cast the other Once Upon a Time. You know, and then it was like, ah, like I made that joke to my friends while we were playing. Anyway, so here comes the Once Upon a Time window. What's the take?
It's funny you asked me that because you didn't even have to zoom out. I already knew I was taking. I already
Yeah,
saw
this
from
one right
no,
here. Oh, this one?
correct.
I disagree.
Oh no.
This is Kaya's cradle eventually. Don't worry about it.
See, I just feel good about having that third land drop already in my hand, right? Like,
We'll draw it. It's fine.
especially since your second source is okay. You drew his third land. That's good.
Never didn't have it, buddy. Here's the shredder.
We do run a high land count, decent. That is true.
All right, so we got 3-4 reclaimer down, feeling pretty good about it, and
Oh,
we're just gonna
interesting. Why didn't you once maintain?
because I didn't want to give him a connive trigger.
Oh, I see. I feel like I would have just like let them have the connive trigger.
I don't know. Like it's an instant speed card. We should take advantage of that kind of thing. Like we already played the land that turn, right? So why not?
I guess, yeah. I guess there's nothing, no one drop we actually care about drawing that matters because the reclaimer is protected anyways, so that's fair.
They get aggro with the shredder,
What are the options?
and I think I end up actually taking visionary here because I wanted to draw a spell.
I would take visionary too. So I think it goes back to what we just talked about. I think because on this board state, there's no one drop I actually really want to draw anyway, so or that matters. So I think waiting, like you said, on the connive is fine. I think we're bogging no matter what here.
Yep. Yep. We got
Like
a bog.
regardless of what we draw.
And I just send 3 because I'm just gonna once upon a time again end of turn. I love this card kind of. I don't know.
Which one? Once upon a time?
Yeah, once upon a
Oh, it's
time.
fantastic.
Oh, okay. So they bolt this reclaimer, right? And I'm like, oh no, because it's like now and the festivities is going to take my whole board away.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, just kidding.
Wait.
Second lightning bolt.
I'm confused now. Wait a minute. You attacked with the reclaimer?
Yeah, I attacked with the reclaimer because my plan was to use once upon a time here.
Oh,
Um,
I would have gotten cradle, for what it's worth.
but this can get cradle if I really need it to.
I
What do I need
I'd
more
rather
mana
not lose
for?
a card
What
though.
what would I need more mana for here, Newton?
Well, we can exchange the bog for a cradle. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but all right. I don't know. Like I think using the once upon a time is better, especially when we're like just playing around connive anyway. I don't know.
Okay, we can table that for a internal discussion later on.
Anyway, this is great, right? Like they just expended 2 lightning bolts on one creature. Absolutely. Deal. You got it.
I guess they had the wasteland, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, Wasteland just looks kind of silly here. I think I end up ooh.
This is a snap, in my opinion.
Wirewood?
I think given their board state, yeah, I would probably get the Wirewood.
Yep. Oh my god, now I just feel so powerful. So many options. I think I end up green sunning for Grist here.
Yeah, I would too. I think you got to deal with that.
Oh, but it meets Force of Negation. Yep, that's right. And I end up just casting Visionary again.
Hmm. Fair.
But they've got 2 cards in hand at this point. We've got a draw engine ready to go. This is like one of those situations where I'm like, I'm glad to still be playing Symbiote and Visionary in some amount, you know?
Yeah.
Like
I
this
definitely
is
think
exactly the spot.
I think this is the strength of because there's been some internal debate like which version is better, right? Like the one with a mini elf theme or the one with playing more splash colors, right? Which Matt has had a lot of success playing. I think this is one of the reasons to play the mini elf package because you can grind out games and you can beat things like Cage too.
Engineered explosives on 1, not looking very strong here.
I think they have the pop. Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck it, Visionary's drawn enough cards. I'd rather save my other 1-drop.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have made that play, but I definitely like it. Like you're playing for to kill fast. which is reasonable.
And now we got the endurance. Oh, so nice.
Oh, you even have the crop protection too. That's so good.
Yep, I get to hold up making these guys 5/5s and have the crop protection.
Yeah, it is definitely a sweet line.
They end up going for the wasteland in their upkeep, so I decide that this would be a good time to just make my dudes 5/5s, so I can survive any possible board wipes.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
They throw down a brainstorm and concede right afterwards. That's the end.
That's awesome.
All right,
So
so
they
we're
didn't
on to
waste your
round
cradle. They
7.
wasted the arbor. Is that right? Very
When?
strange wasteland.
No, they wasted the cradle at
Okay.
towards the end there, and I floated in response and made my guys 5/5s.
Oh, and they conceded in response to that. I see.
Well, no, they went to their turn. They drew, and then in their they cast brainstorm, and then they conceded.
Oh, but I still saw the cradle on board though. I think
Oh
they wasted the arbor for some reason.
no, they. Oh yeah, they did waste the arbor. Yeah. That's right. But I still had to make the mana in response.
Right. That part I understood.
So
Yeah.
yeah, okay, cool.
Dino Spirit Guide.
All right, so we get paired up against McWin Sauce, classic Yorion pile player.
Yeah, I'm always happy to see your 80 cards on the other side.
Yeah, I'm always pretty stoked about it too. Anyway, oh, this game is has some okay, this has to be my favorite game in the series.
Mm.
In the entire series, this is my favorite game. So we fetch up Bayou knowing that Wasteland's not really going to be an issue.
Don't they
And
don't
I
play
think
Wasteland? I thought they do.
I can't remember if Tom does or not, is the thing.
Mm.
Uh
I think we take a
Maybe
land
he
here, right?
does. Anyway, I guess well, Wasteland's like a 2 of in this deck.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really concerned about it.
You,
Anyway, what did you say? Take the Reclaimer?
no, take the land.
Oh, take the land. I agree.
Yeah.
So Green Sun's Zenith meets Force of Negation.
That tells me they probably don't have removal.
So at this point, it's Reclaimer and to hold up fetch for Arbor. They brainstorm, they fetch, they find a Priz ending. I'm just like, fuck it, hold up opposition agent, let's go.
I'm not mad at that.
Op agent resolves, so now fetch lands are off, Green Sun Zeniths are off. I waste off one of their duels because fetch lands are, again, they're off.
Mm-hmm.
I should have attacked here with opposition agent, but I didn't because I was like, oh wait, what if they coatl it? But I forgot the fact that they need another snow permanent
Mm-hmm.
besides the coatl itself to turn on death touch, so that was my bad.
Mm-hmm.
I was correct in the fact they had the coatl, but
Mm-hmm.
again, it didn't have death touch, so
Yeah, I think in this situation, I probably Fiend Artisan first and see if they force and then Wasteland because that could change their mind, right?
that's true.
I think that's obviously I'm nitpicking here. Current played very well.
They wastelanded Gaia's Cradle, so there is one of two wastelands, you're correct. Yeah, again, I guess I just didn't initially fear it, but I was like, okay, cool. We ripped Green Sun, we can go ahead and go get Reclaimer here.
I love the backdoor into Reclaimer, right? Like Guy's Cradle. That's like one of my favorite lines. Hmm.
I traded off the symbiote there because I wanted to grow the artisan a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think I would attack there because they're not a bolt deck, so I don't know if the artisan growing matters.
The Eternal Witness here.
Hmm.
And they target Wasteland, so they're just trying to like keep me off mana.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna rip Cradle. I knew it.
Yeah, Cradle time, baby. So this allowed me to float 5, go get Grist,
Yeah, this is
plus
like game over.
1, swing for 3,
Definitely Gris, Jason.
and then I think, oh yeah, this was so cool because we wanted to bog, but we were worried that we'd have to sack Cradle, and I ended up using Fiend Artisan to sack out the insect to turn it into a Dryad Arbor, to sack out the Dryad Arbor to get the bog and bog them.
Did we not
And
have like
then
endurance?
um we we did have the endurance, but I wanted to do it off that bog. I don't know why.
Okay, I think
I
it.
I I don't know. I like bogging better against.
I would have to count the mana, but I think it's possible endurance would be better there.
Yeah, potentially, I guess. But we roll up, we just pass back. They play a Minskin Boo, and they end up sacking it at uh oh, they sacked the Eternal Witness
Mm-hmm.
at the opposition agent
Mm.
because the agent had been holding them down for so long.
Yeah, for sure.
And at this point,
I
we
love
just
how
plus
agent is like
one.
randomly good, like in the matches where it's not meant for, right?
Yeah, it was just so nasty in this game one. And I end up sending these two at them, and I send 2/1/1s at Minsk and Boo.
Fair enough.
They just want to prevent the most damage they were gonna take there, and we pass back. They fetch up and they cast
Green Sun for Caress.
3 to get Gris to take Arbor off the table and Fiend Artisan off the table, but we're still so far ahead, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think from Tom's perspective, you can't really leave Artisan on board. It's already done it like so much damage.
The Endurance wipes our yard, but we have a fetch land, so we get to kind of shuffle all our fun stuff back in.
Mm-hmm. Love getting arbors.
And there's the Green Sun for the W.
Mm-hmm. Tight play here by Curran. Do not plus Gris in the event your opponent. Sorry, in the event you mill the hoof.
That is correct. It once you do it one time out of order and it does happen to you, you never
You never
forget
make
that
that mistake
moment.
again. Yeah.
Never forget that moment. Yes, you would get another +1/+1 to your team, but it does not matter compared to actually having the thing that kills them.
I definitely have made that mistake where, or not even mistake, but like sometimes I just need the extra because I'm trying to play around swords of plowshares or something, right? And then I mill in the hoop, and it just looks ridiculous. Ugh.
All right, so this is our 7. We obviously have to ship this. Okay, so this hand, personally, all I see is mana and nothing else. Would it? Do you think this would be keepable by any capacity?
I would actually keep this hand, believe it or not.
You would keep this hand and
Uh,
just hope for the top decks?
yeah, I would.
All right, well, I didn't. So,
I don't blame you for not, by the way. That hand doesn't do anything. But I tend to, I'm like very liberal with my keeps.
Fair enough. I put back the Boseiju and the Artisan because we have some ramp and we have the Once Upon a Time to find us a second land.
Mm,
And Feed Artisan is generally like,
a later play, yeah.
yeah, just better later, and we'll probably run into another one. Anyway, so this was nice. We did find another land. We Green Sun into an Arbor as well. Just kind of mimic here and pass. They get this Grist down and they sack their Arbor to kill our Arbor. We decide to make the risky play here
Which is ramping? Why is that the risky play?
because they have Wasteland here and it could just turn off our entire plan if they decide to use it. But thought there was a chance they might just tap out for something else, and they did.
I think that's more likely because a wasteland turn two from their end is kind of weak play.
But unfortunately, they hit their second Wasteland
Mm-hmm.
and they still got the activation.
Mm. Yeah, I think in these kind of matchups, actually, I don't value personally Shepard as high post board because I just assume they're gonna have like a million sweepers. So I tend to don't like Shepard as much post board, and I probably keep the land to be honest instead of the Shepard.
For sure.
Like it's insane game one obviously because there's no plague engine, but I think it's not as good post board. That's a good draw.
Yep, and we got to wipe their yard with your arrow in it. They plowed off one of the shepherds into sacking an insect into the other shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this point, that obviously indicates that they probably they want to have counter magic, but I decided to call their bluff.
I
With
would
three
too.
cards left in hand, I just said, nope, you know what? You don't have it. I'm going for it. And I was rewarded. And I got Progenitus, and yeah.
See that's the thing people don't realize about I think our deck or our players. I think people think because we're playing more controlling deck now that we're gonna play more conservatively, but at the end of the day, like you don't put natural or in your deck to not cast it.
We gotta cast it. So at this point, I feel like the only way they could win is if they successfully raced me. So I just did a little bit of blocking there to mitigate some damage.
Mm-hmm.
I put them to 1 here, so now their fetch lands are turned off. They decide after tanking for a while to attack with everything and then fling the hamster at my face afterwards, putting me to 2. They're looking for an out and they don't find it, and that's the end of that match.
I think blocking there is reasonable. I don't know what kind of like burn they have, but I think given that after the flinging they could be you could be at one. I probably don't block to play around an edict. I don't think they play that, but it's like something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I was just worried that I don't even know. Like I wasn't even sure what was in the realm of their outs as well, so I just did the thing that, made me take the least damage, even if it was only 2 life points overall. But yeah.
No, I think it's
Anyway,
reasonable. For sure. Like the only way we lose is we getting erased there, so I think it's reasonable.
so here we come into round 8.
The faithful, what ends up being the win in it.
Yeah, there is no round 9, folks. I was paired down and my opponent scooped me into top 8, so. All right, so going into this round here, or into this game here, we take a look off this Once Upon a Time, and I think I probably end up taking Reclaimer.
Yeah, I would take Reclaim. I think it's not close here.
And I ESG out the symbiote just to be assertive, I guess.
We're the Lotus Petal deck now, right?
Right. My opponent goes Chromux, and I'm like, no, no, don't be oops all spells, please, please, no. And then they put a Legion Warboss under, and I just breathed a sigh of relief
For
because
sure.
if you recall our last top 8 review, I smashed this deck like 3 times in the challenge.
Yeah, yeah. I think the matchup has gotten a lot better for sure. With our recent changes, that's definitely true.
So they spent turn 1 playing Chalice on one, and I'm just like, yep, you did it. You absolutely did it. You're so good. Here's a Wirewood Symbiote. Attack. I'm gonna wait to pull up an Arbor here and pass. And they're like, okay, you know what's better than one Chalice on one? How about 2 Chalices on one? And I'm like, that is pretty good, opponent. You
so
got me there.
so our opponent broke the cardinal rule, which is you have to move for a turn 1/3 drop against elves. I think.
And I'm like, ah, shucks, I can't cast the symbiote in my hand. Guess I'll natural order. Anyway, here's Crater Hoof. You're not quite dead here, but you might as well be. You're at 1 pass.
I think you miss lethal.
How'd I miss lethal? Where'd I
You
miss lethal?
you could you could have pitch. You could have tapped the reclaimer and the arbor and the land to reclaimer for arbor and then natural order for arbor. Sorry, for hoof. Bounce the reclaimer and untap the other arbor, and that's lethal.
Aw, shucks.
But that is like a play that we don't make that often, but something to keep in mind, by the way.
I mean, it is round 8. I did miss, I guess.
I know, Kurt. I'm nitpicking here for sure, for sure.
Anyway, I guess we missed lethal, but they conceded in their upkeep anyway, so it's the same thing, right? It's virtual lethal.
It's like we said earlier in the last matchup. It's the virtual lethal.
Hey, wait a minute. Newton's a
I
bully.
am, I am, I am.
All right, so let's go to game 2 against this deck. All right, so if you open this 7, do you keep it?
I would, and you know why?
Why?
It has a single best card in the matchup in it, natural order.
I agree with you. However, the thing that scares me the most is losing to turn 1 Blood Moon on the play. So I actually end up shipping this hand, which
Okay.
maybe heresy, but I wanted to be safe. And I was rewarded for my safety with this ESG.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, ESG, for being the best. I put back a reclaimer due to laws of duplicates,
Sure, sure.
and
Makes
let's
sense.
get started. Oh, I guess I could have kept that turn one, that game one hand after all. You were right. Damn it. My
Our opponent
opponent
is.
didn't
Go
do
ahead.
anything.
Our opponent is breaking the cardinal rule again here against elves. You need to stick a 3 drop turn 1.
So if I recall correctly, I think I end up taking
Land,
another
right?
land here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, cool. We're all set in the event that Blood Moon happens now, and we're on track to cast a turn 2 Endurance, which, again, if you caught us last week, I have high opinions of this card in this matchup. Very high opinions. It is insane, and all I want to do here. Anyway, so they
Yeah.
put a Blood Moon under Chrome Mox and play Magus. Sorry, I cut you off, Noon. What were you gonna say?
No, no, you're good. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say I think this is one of the rare matchups where I probably don't fetch before Once Upon a Time because a forest is actually pretty good to draw.
Yeah, that's fair. I was out of order on that and kind of autopiloting that heuristic.
No, I don't blame you. Like I think I would autopilot too. Like in a lot of cases, this is like the exception to the rule, right? As well,
Yeah.
they get blown out if they
Um.
attack here.
So I think I end up letting them come through here.
Hmm.
Because I was worried about something, and I can't remember what it was exactly
It
right
could be dead
now.
gone. That's the one thing that they could have. I mean, there's the dead, right?
So at this point, I get to cycle out, get the other forest under the moon,
Mm-hmm. Very nice play. I like that.
and now we're still on track to cast endurances
Mm-hmm.
on time.
Yeah, I like that you played around the dead gone. I think that's smart. And here's the blowout, right?
However, I think I end up opting to block the goblin token because I just like the idea that their den is off, and I'm not affected by this blood moon nearly as much as they are.
I think that is not the worst. Yeah, especially since we just had mono endurances in our hand too, right?
Yeah, we just get to kind of do this forever now.
Yeah. They're just kind of stuck, right? It's funny they cannot beat a Tomagorth.
Okay, so here's their blowout play, right? They're like, "Oh yes, we got him. We can fiery confluence the board. No more endurances." Ha 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 ha. Little did they know. But at this point, I'm like, I might as well try to draw another land, see if we can get something going here. They don't have a threat in play, so I don't need to have an endurance at this time.
Oh, I would actually play the endurance, and here's why. If they play Rabble Master, you get to eat their goblin for free.
Yeah, that's fair. They ended up playing a blood moon though, so I got the turn, and I drew a fourth endurance.
Just mono endurance.
It's pretty much the dream in this
It,
matchup.
it, I think endurance is probably the second best creature in the matchup. Like obviously the holy grail is the big boy artisan, right? Like that's literally game over. But obviously, that would have to be later in the game, right? Because ideally, you want artisan to be, at least a 4/4.
Oh yeah, I also forgot I endurance, and I actually endurance myself to put more endurances back in the deck because I had two endurances in the graveyard.
Mm-hmm. Don't think I would have made that play, but it's not the worst in this situation, I guess. Especially if you end up drawing Green Sun. Fury. That's cute, I guess.
Yeah, I think I end up blocking the Fury with the endurance just because I don't want to take the damage and get it off the table. And I'm like, I have Fiend Artisan to follow up, so having another body in the yard is actually fine.
Mm-hmm. I'm always I definitely would have made the same play. It's always scary though because like if they have a instant speed burn spell, then we get blown out.
I turn this Llanowar Elves into another Fiend Artisan, and I pass
Oh,
back.
you're living the dream here. It's just mono, X4s and greater.
Oh, let's see. Oh yeah. So the reflection comes down and they go to their attack step, and I think t- I I'm sad about it, but I have to kill this Rabble Master before next turn because copying Rabble Master
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be
You have no choice, I think.
very bad. So I do have to sadly lose one of my Fiend Artisans, but that's okay. Uh, we're just gonna go ahead and turn this Reclaimer into another one.
Yeah, it's just so gross.
I'm getting close on the life totals there, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. They tapped out, and I had enough bodies in the yard to just swing back for lethal.
Very strange play by opponent.
I thought they were going to have a Gone for one of my Fiend Artisans here, but they just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was it.
Isn't Reclaimer better than Shepherd?
So
Uh,
the reason I kept Shepard around is because I was toying around the idea of the fact that I had mana for activation to turn it into a 5/5 as needed, where Reclaimer was just a 1/2 the whole time because I had no more lands left in yard.
I personally like Mike's line better because the Reclaimer can chump. Because they're forced to attack, right? And then if we draw any relevant one drop, then we can continue to make artisans, right?
Yeah, I think ultimately keeping the Reclaimer around is better for that, but my brain was on the topic of the activation, so
All good.
that's
Like,
why I kept the Shepherd around.
yeah, no, I think the thing that matters more is like what Curran displayed is very good knowledge of a macro level game plan, and I think that's why even with a few things that he would change, in hindsight, the reason why he did so well is because he from a high level macro standpoint he had a good game plan, and not just for this match
Yeah.
but in general.
Yeah, I mean, every matchup that I think is possible to run into, I have my plan laid out from the very beginning, and I
Mm-hmm.
just try to adhere. And yes, I do make suboptimal plays along the way as a result. Sometimes maybe I laser in on something or I'm too focused on getting to my goal.
Mm-hmm.
But again, yeah, the macro really stands out in a lot of these matchups, I think. So.
Yeah, I would argue it's probably assuming your you know micro level gameplay is like good enough. I think the macro game plan is like much more important.
So round 9, there's nothing to see here again
Mm-hmm.
because my breakers were so bad and I was riding the bottom of the bracket every single time that I was pared down to 36th place, and I was like, "Hey, uh, I am definitely alive for top 8 if I win this. Can I, help you out? Like, I'll give you some chests." It was an easy discussion to
Mm-hmm.
have, and we went into round 10. So this is the quarterfinals versus Cephaloid Breakfast. I would love to say that any of the stuff that we're about to watch matters, but it doesn't, because this game concludes very quickly,
Mm. Did
sadly.
you know they were
Anyway,
on Cephalid Breakfast?
no, I had no idea.
Mm.
Uh,
Well, you know now.
so yep, I'm like, oh, Nomad's Encore. All right, play the uncounterable thing, play the Fiend Artisan. Okay, we're gonna get ready to fuck up this Nomad's Encore. Nope, Illusionist. GG. Nothing I can do.
so
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 I just
that's the pain
conceded.
in this matchup, right? Like oddly enough, because of the way their deck works, endurance actually does not do anything.
So yeah, on to game 2. Oh, is that Mr. UC in the chat? Hello, Mr. UC. How are you, buddy? All right. Game 2, we had to ship that because I had Progenitus in hand, and then this was kind of a bummer, but I kept it because I liked the
The snuff outs are
multiple snuff
insane.
outs.
Yeah, the snuff outs are insane.
So yeah, we fetched up the Bayou and we cast a Findhorn and we send it back. They go on the Saga plan, we Thoughtseize, and we see some of the most awkward mana I've ever seen. Like they've got a second Saga and a Tarn, so Tef isn't castable, Oracle isn't castable, Cephaloid Illusionist by itself is nothing, so I end up taking a Brainstorm.
Not the worst. Yeah.
They just cast an Illusionist, and I'm like, okay, free snuff out target. They end up milling a Narcomoeba off the trigger, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's pretty funny, actually. Yeah. Is there a reason why you chose to fire off the snuff out there? I might have waited for what's worth.
I did it just to get a creature off the table so I can just start beating too.
Sure, that's
Like,
fair.
just start putting the pressure on, but I did not calculate for the Narcomoeba to flip off 3 cards, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't calculate for that either.
They end up getting a Shuko, playing a second Saga, and they find a Nomads on core. They fire off for one, and I'm like, fuck it. Uh, that's fine. I'll hold Snuff out.
Snubba's so obnoxious in these kind of creature combo matchups. It's basically force of will where you don't have to pitch a card.
Yeah, and at this point, my new plan is to just try to get this hoof online via Cradle.
Yeah, I like that too.
I activate early on both the fetch land to get the Arbor and the Reclaimer to get the Cradle in case they go to grab Pithing Needle here.
Mm-hmm.
But they end up just grabbing second Shuko and sending in for 4 damage, putting me to 6. And they presenting the Shepherd pretty understandably. We bog them out. And now it's a matter of trying to just, again, get to the hoof. They send in for 5 damage here, and I'm just like, fuck it, we'll go to 1, that's fine. End of turn, grab up Arbor. Draw natural order, but, whatever. Cast hoof.
And hope they
They
don't
don't
have
have
it.
the force,
Wow.
and we're in.
Nice.
Game 3.
Yeah, Mike brought up a good point. Saga to shuffle brainstorm is pretty awesome. It reminds me of when you use Green Sun to shuffle after a brainstorm, right?
Yeah.
Or Stoneforge Mystic. That's the more common one.
So I think I end up keeping the 7 because it doesn't have graveyard hate or anything, but it's got like, force of vigor and donk and plan and whatnot.
If I've learned anything, free spells are broken.
So at this point I'm like, don't illusionist me, don't do it. And they're like presenting, and I'm like, oh phew.
I know, right?
And so they play this Saga with 3 cards left in hand, and I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna force of vigor that. Just pitch the second natural order. Why not?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I might have done it on their upkeep, but then they could, flush a storm or something. So I think it's fine since you had 2 already.
They have 2 removal spells. Okay. Pretty powerful. 1 card left in hand.
I think you like these kind of games because they're playing on a fair level. You know what
Another removal spell, no problem. It's
I mean?
fine. We got this op agent.
Oh, the op agent's actually nice. I think. Unfortunately, they have no targets, so we have to run it in.
Hey Newton, what would you do here if you were my opponent and you saw opposition agent on the stack? What would you do?
I would fetch.
You would fetch, right?
Wow.
Nah, it's fine.
I think they were just tired. I mean, it has been a long night or day, right?
I was just like, oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, like when it happened, I was like, ooh, nasty. But certainly you wouldn't crack the fetch while the op agent was out, would you?
No, 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 no. I mean, if I did, it's probably because I just, got tired, right? I think your opponent is probably just tired at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're just unaware of anything that's going on here. So I got to I pulled up their underground sea,
Right. At least
and
C
I was
cast is
like,
C's or something, right?
and at this point I'm like, natural order, we'll send over for 12
That's
and make them have
interesting.
it.
I would not have made that play, by the way.
What would you have done?
I think I would have. Um, I think I would have once upon a time and reclaimer for cradle instead, because you can hold a bog, right, so that you don't just lose.
That might have been better. Yeah. That's
But
unfortunate.
but it's okay. Both players are tired right now.
So they brainstorm here and we just clench up because it's like, okay, if they find illusionist, it's over. And they didn't. And we won.
Hey, better lucky than good.
All right, and that brings us to the semifinals.
Oh, unfortunately, you told me how this ended already.
Yes, but I will say that because I did know they were on Reanimator, so I didn't keep this hand, and I ended up keeping this hand,
Mm.
and it should have worked out. By all calculations, this should have worked out because this is an insane start for us. Because they go Dark Rit, Entomb, they go to find their Gristlebrand, they cast Exhume. We, in response, throw down the Endurance,
Oh,
get their Yard,
I
get
would
the
pitch natural
Endurance
order,
out.
by the way.
Okay, that's something to consider. Yeah.
And the logic is because this game's gonna go long, and especially with the wasteland, just gonna I think I want the mana.
Anyway, so I'm sitting there, we're like sitting there going, who's the Delver player now? So they Faithless Looting, put down off a Lotus Petal, put down Gristlebrand, they Dark Rit, they Exhume,
Oh
they
wow.
draw going down to 2, they Grief out the Once Upon a Time,
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a very good
and
looting.
and then they unmask out the Natural Order, then they Entomb, putting an Archon in,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously I can't really attack here. And do anything profitable, so I have to pass. They attack. They go to 9. They go back down to 2. They go to 1. They animate Dead the Archon, and it's just all over.
Ouch.
I get mad, make them block.
So Mike brought up something I was gonna bring up. I think I would probably do the play that he would suggest, which is the when you fetch out Arbor, I probably would have just used a Spirit Guide and try to dig for Reclaimer, because if we can land Reclaimer, we'd probably close the door. But it wouldn't have mattered in this specific example because they did happen to have the reanimation the same turn when Reclaimer otherwise would have been sick anyways.
I think a lot of my focus on that, again, was clocking them while I had them on nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that seems to have been coming up a lot for me in this event so far. I've noticed is that, like, I will get ahead by what I think is a pretty decent margin, and I'll just be like, okay, my one focus just to maximize damage and close the door
Mm-hmm.
before they potentially draw back into this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not giving enough credit to their ability to draw back into the game,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I mean, that looting was insane, like you said,
Yeah, it wouldn't have
but
mattered, but I think the correct play would have been to dig for the reclaimer because you effectively put them on the one turn clock. But yeah, like I said, it wouldn't have mattered here because their looting was insane.
yeah, so we head into game 2 here. And if I recall correctly, yep, our 7 is abysmal, right?
Ye-
If we had any permanent mana
yeah, I
sources,
think we need a land there.
yeah, we're close. And then I see this 6, and I'm like, okay, we have Noxious Revival. Once Upon a Time could find us Endurance if necessary. I put the Natural Order back, and I end up Once Upon a Timing into a Reclaimer.
I mean, that's as
So
strong as you
we're
can ask for, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I've got the revival if they've got the turn 1, but they end up griefing me and taking Fiend Artisan.
Mm-hmm.
Guess they're not really scared.
I mean, from their
And
perspective, they need to, right? Because then you told me they're on unfortunately, spoiler, show and tell.
Yeah, and I mean Underground C what did come down in game 1, so I kind of knew that
Hmm.
going in, but I was like I didn't really want to like mull to 5 or 4 looking for Thoughtseize,
No, I definitely would have kept the hand that you did. I think that's more than reasonable.
and they do end up having the turn 2 show and tell here and put in Gristlebrand, and it's just kind of over at this point.
Hmm.
Like
Obviously,
there's
the
just not
Caracas
really a
could have
lot.
done something potentially if we had it, but we'd probably lose regardless.
Yeah, like I could have grabbed it end of turn there, but he had already drawn a lot of cards, and yeah, it was just obviously very over. This was sad to see.
Hmm.
Puppy on the other side, protection from creatures owned by Testacular.
For the
So
runnings,
yeah,
yeah.
that was the semifinals, and that concludes the showcase. So or at least my run.
No, that was a very impressive run, Curran. I'm very happy for you. For those who don't know, Curran has qualified for the showcase qualifier before. I think that was in 2020, if I recall. Uh,
Yep, 2020.
Granted, that was with the traditional Nettle Sentinel build. This is his first one with the, I guess, Reclaimer slash Artisan build, right? But very happy for you. I know it's a long tournament, and I think you played very well, especially coming back from a 0-1 start, right?
The most unfortunate of 0-1 starts, right when you think the door is closed and they come back on the most insane, yeah, like last cards in hand. That was very hard to detilt from, but I found a way, I guess.
No, you kept your composure, which is good. I think also your run showcases what a tournament top 8 run kind of consists of. Like sometimes we get lucky, sometimes they get lucky. You catch a few breaks here and there, and uh, it hurts to misplay, but not necessarily the end of the world. Which is I think it showcased all of that.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, being able to consistently beat things like Delver and Moonstompy make me very happy with the deck choice in the current metagame.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, it's gonna be a long time before I try hard with any other kind of deck, I think. But
So I think for those of you who are tuning in from Jarvis's stream earlier, can you bring up the deck list again and then briefly
yeah,
go over your thoughts again for those who missed it earlier?
so again, this was the 75 I played. It's the 60 has remained basically unchanged for about a month now, minus the fact that we cut the Caracas for Wasteland. As we saw today, Wasteland had some impact. It wasn't as much as I wanted, and again, there was some times there where I was like, "Ooh, Caracas might have been interesting here,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily changing anything like for the better, but it may have had a little bit more interaction versus like Reanimator, for instance." Um, Sideboard again, everything that I'm kind of throwing on the left here has been a staple of the sideboard for a while now. And then these were the ones to test. Noxious Revival is cute so far. I would like to actually play against Doomsday with it before making any decisions on its staying power. Veil's definitely got to go.
Yeah, that
Uh,
card's
it's
awful.
got it's got to go. For sure. And Newton brought up earlier the idea of a third snuff out, which I kind of am interested in trying. I may try a few other things as well in this slot.
I think the Caracas is
Uh,
like reasonable too in that slot. Like it's not great against
yeah,
Delver, but it is another land, and would help against random things like Reanimator or Merit Lage, right?
yeah. I don't think this card is where we want to be.
No,
Big sad.
it's too reactive
Like,
is the problem, and we don't play permission um, to help it if that makes sense.
yeah. I may do the thing where I just put Leyline back in the board for a little while till I figure it out too, because I am a firm Fan of Leyline of the Void. I think
So
it's a good card.
so for those who don't know, something that I'd like to do is I never play the same sideboard cards for too long because people will eventually put you on certain cards, and that's already exacerbated by the fact that people know I'm on elves. So if you are on like a certain deck, I would suggest or recommend playing different sideboard cards every once in a while, just to throw people off.
I yeeted the Veil out at the request of chat just now. So Veil's gone for now. We'll figure it out later. I don't know. But yeah, this list is absolutely awesome. Again, I may end up also swapping out Wasteland for Caracas.
Mhm.
Um, but that's to be seen, I
Yeah.
suppose. So
So something I want to point out is I do appreciate Curran putting his faith in me. For those who don't know, I tweeted out but the list that I played in yesterday's showcase challenge. I actually lost to Parker here, in round 8, but Curran played my exact 75 down to the last card. So I do appreciate that he trusts me to follow me essentially blindly because I'm pretty sure he had 0 reps with Noxious Revival before the event.
that is correct. Again, I woke up the morning of the event. I looked into the Discord to see what you had done last, and I was like, all right, I'll spend the few pennies for Noxious Revival and see what it does. Why not? It could be great. Uh, again, did not run into the Doomsday matchup to actually test it, but that's okay.
I do
We
like. I
tried.
still like it in theory, and at least from my perspective, it seemed like it was good against for you against Dredge, and for me, it won a game against Reanimator. So I think overall, it's gonna be in the sideboard at least for the near term.
For now,
Yeah.
until we continue to innovate and find something else left in the past, whatever.
It's funny how we joke that innovation has slowed down, only because there was a point where we were literally playing a new stock list every like 2 days, right? Like back about 3 weeks ago.
God, yeah, the changes were never ending, and it never seemed like it was gonna settle down. But I feel like it finally has settled down.
A little bit, yeah. And especially the main deck. I would say maybe there's 2 cards at most in the main deck that maybe we can play around with. The sideboard, I think, like maybe 11 or 12 cards are settled, but we still have some room for innovation, I think.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's it for me then, unless you have anything else.
I don't, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and actually raid here. Schultz Cube, who actually won the event. So for those who enjoy Legacy, thank you for tuning in. Here are my socials again, and Curran, why don't you post yours? Actually, let me find your Twitter here, or if you get it earlier than me, then you can post it first.
I am trying, but I'm kind of operating on mobile here.
Okay, 1 second.
I'll let you do
Okay,
it.
perfect. Here is the post to to his event results, and then you can find his pages from there.
Sick.
Okay,
Uh
so go ahead.
yeah, I I don't know. I don't have anything else.
I'll go ahead and raid Schultz cubed here.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. That's super cool of you guys to hang out with us.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Karen, for joining us and blessing us with your triple back-to-back-to-back top eights.
Oh yeah, happy to help. All right, see y'all on the next one.
All right, take care, everyone.